What separates millionaires from any other ordinary person? It's not just the money they have, it's the mindset that they use to actually get them there and produce at that level every single day. Over the next 15 minutes, I'm gonna be breaking down the exact mindset you can use to become a 7 or 8 figure entrepreneur. Back when I was 21, 22 years old, I was at one of the lowest points of my life. I was living in downtown Brooklyn, I was playing junior college football, I was in a shoebox dorm room with another 4 teammates, barely living on over $100 a week. And what I did is I reshaped my mind and I said, you know what, where I'm at is not what makes me happy and I have to change something. What I'm gonna be doing is breaking down 5 detailed steps for you so you can implement, so you can change your life and ultimately become a 7 to 8 figure entrepreneur. First is taking ownership of your life. The quickest way to see that someone is not going to become successful is they blame other people. They blame their environment. They blame their family. They blame what they look like. Well, we all could find an excuse if we look for it. You have to first take ownership. Realize there is trillions and trillions of dollars circulating around us every single day, but we don't even see it. Why are you not seeing it? Because we're worried about what people think about us. We're worried about where we came from. We're worried about the thing that your parents could have done, but they didn't know how. Well, all those things are justifiable in some sense. If you blame outside sources, you will never become great. Great entrepreneurs, business people, and the most successful people in the world, if you study their stories in detail, you quickly find out that they're no different than you, and they're probably not even as intelligent. They've been through challenging times. In fact, 85% of millionaires are self-made. So if 85% of them are self-made, why can't you do the same? We have to first take accountability and realize, look, we're the common denominator in every single situation. That story when I was telling you when I was 22 years old and I was living in downtown Brooklyn, I would go sit in a local Barnes & Noble, a small bookstore right off Atlantic Avenue in downtown Brooklyn. And I would sit there and I was reading, and after about a couple weeks, I had this realization that I had everything that I needed to be successful. The things that were missing were the knowledge I needed to get there and the actions that I had to take. In that moment, I decided, look, I am not going to live this life anymore. And while it's gonna be challenging to build up and become a success, I'm going to start today. You can do the exact same thing. You can do this with any type of resource you find necessary. This could be the internet, this could be YouTube, this could be audiobooks. You could go to a local bookstore, don't even buy them, and sit literally right next to the bookshelf and just read them page by page. Do whatever it takes to acquire the mindset and knowledge needed to think like the best in the world. Number 2 is embracing risk. And just before I break down, make sure to stay till the end because number 5 is going to be the most important step. Let's talk about risk. Many people, they want to make 7 figures, they want to become a multi-millionaire, but they won't even invest $100 in themselves. And I'm not talking about some course from someone online. I'm talking about literally a bookstore. I'm talking about literally a workshop, a class of some sort. Maybe something that you could learn from. You get an hour of consulting from someone that makes 10 times more than you. Or even just taking someone that works at the company you work for that makes great money and you literally just say, hey, can I take you to lunch? You want to make 7 figures, but you won't even invest in yourself. But think about it. You never miss paying Netflix. Anytime there's a new iPhone, you always find a way to pay that. If the girl or guy or whatever the situation is, you want to go on a date, you want to go have drinks with your friends, you always find money for that. But do you pay yourself first? Do you invest in your knowledge and your skill sets? You have to learn that if you do not invest in yourself, your dreams, and your mindset, you will not be successful. One common denominator I noticed when I was studying all of these really successful people, despite the industry that they were in, whether they were athletes, entrepreneurs, politicians, artists, musicians, they all invested in their knowledge. I learned that LeBron James, one of the best basketball players ever to live, spends over $1 million on his health and his body. That's why he's 40 years old, still playing at the height of his career. You have to invest in your body, in your mind, and the places that you surround yourself with because it affects you daily. Whether it's starting a business, whether it's moving across the country to take a risk and starting in a new industry, it's going to take capital. It's going to take risk. And you have to push and invest in yourself and be willing to fail. Because if you don't, nothing big is going to come of it. Number 3, thinking long term. A common denominator of people who aren't successful is they're constantly worried about what's next. Now, rightfully so. If you're living paycheck to paycheck, if you're trying to make ends meet, it's very difficult, and I've been there. But the only way to change that reality is to pull yourself out of the present moment and think about, what would I need to do to have this much income in 3 years? What knowledge would I have to acquire to become a CEO or become a startup founder? What information do I need to learn to take my business from 10 million to 100 million? What people, what knowledge, what resources are missing to 10x my business this year? These are all questions that you need to look at to change what you're doing, and it all associates with thinking long term. 85% of millionaires are self-made. Many times we assume that, oh, well, they have this car, they have this business, somebody must have, in their family paid for it. They must have had this, hookup or this insight. And while sometimes that may be true, the statistics show the exact opposite. Great leaders typically started from scratch, and the bulk of millionaires are avid learners and avid readers. In fact, the average millionaire reads 2 to 3 books per month. Imagine how good you could be if you could listen or read a book a week. I can't guarantee anything, but I know you'll become more intelligent, more prepared, and more creative to become more successful in your business. Number 4, surrounding yourself with winners. A lot of you say all the time, how do I become a multimillionaire? How do I build this business? How do I get promoted at my job? And then you go home and you hang out and surround yourself with people who don't care about anything related to success, that don't take care of their minds, that don't take care of their bodies. Every word out of their mouth is something more negative. How do you not realize that that is not holding your back? It's easy to say, I get, but if you don't cut off these negative people, you will continue to face the exact same cycle over and over again. And 10 years from now, you're gonna be sitting there thinking, damn, why did I not listen? You have to invest your time and your energy in environments and around people that make you better. Have you ever wondered why really wealthy people spend so much money to live in the nicest neighborhoods, join the best clubs, sit courtside, or in the nicest part of the concert or the sports event or whatever the case may be? Yeah, it's nice and that's great, but realize that costs a lot more money than not doing it. So why is it so important to them? Relationships. If everyone around you is as successful or even way more successful than you, think about how much smarter you're gonna get. Over the last 2 to 3 years, I went through exactly what I was telling you. Is I had to pull away from old friendships. I invest in myself. I built and scaled a really successful business. I invested well. But one thing that was the greatest driver of this was I started surrounding myself with people who were better than me. And so anytime I'm thinking about starting a new business, taking a risk, maybe dealing with a problem at work, instead of going to my friends that I love but don't specialize in business, I can pick up the phone and call a friend that runs a $100 million business and ask him what he thinks. I can ask a friend that's been in the tech industry for years about my potential tech startup that I want to start. Or my friend that's in the medical industry and has a startup that ended up becoming a publicly traded company for over $1 billion, and I can call him and ask him what he thinks about my idea that I'm thinking about starting in the medical field. When you have these resources available to you, no matter how great you are or how much resources or capital you have, you can put yourself years and even decades ahead of other people because you can learn from people who have already done it. The hardest part about this is when you're growing and when you're going to invest in yourself and spend time with better people, is unfortunately you have to pull yourself away from the people who no longer serve who you are as a person. This doesn't mean every person has to be a millionaire, because think about it. If someone's a multimillionaire, but they have horrible relationships, you go talk to them about money. You don't talk to them about your boyfriend or girlfriend or your husband or your wife. So quality people doesn't always mean financial. It means spiritual. It means friendship, it means health, it means wealth. There's so many different areas, but we have to be attentive about where we're spending our time, and most importantly, be willing to walk away and be in a lonely season for a short period of time to trade it off for a much better life and much better reality. All right, number 5, let go of the past. I told you, this is the most important trait. Have you ever heard someone say, man, someone was telling me to invest in Bitcoin, and if I just would have done it we've been so rich right now. Or I had this job offer, I didn't want to take it because my girlfriend and my wife didn't want me to at the time. And if I would have done that, that company ended up going public and everyone became multimillionaires. Or I was thinking about buying that rental bar. I can go down and down the list forever and ever. The past does not exist. Hindsight is always 20/20. And if you're only focusing on what you could have done, what you should have done differently, I get looking in the past and learning from your mistakes, that's fine. But constantly living in your past is not going to help you develop and grow. The only thing that actually matters is the present, this moment right here. Because no matter how good or bad your year has been and what things you've accomplished and what things you've struggled with, if you don't actually make the changes now, it doesn't matter what happened. Even if it's with $10. Someone asked me the other week, Grant, how do I become a great investor? And I said, you got your phone on you? And he said, yeah. And I said, okay, go to the App Store, download Robinhood, connect your bank, which is gonna take about 48 hours. Then I want you to send $10 to the investment account. And then I want you to get on YouTube, look every book you can find on investing, turn on CNBC, look at everything you can see, and then invest that $10 into assets. I was like, that is how you learn how to invest. And while it's so simple, nobody does those things. You learn by doing, you learn by taking action. And you learn by acting in the now. Think about it. If that one individual did that day, while he may not be a millionaire in 3 months, in 25 years, he may be one of the wealthiest people that we know because he's gonna learn, he's gonna develop, he's gonna become more successful. But because he started that day, instead of thinking, man, I should have bought that one thing my friend told me to buy 2 years ago, but I just didn't know how. He started then, so the next opportunity comes, he's ready for it. And Richard Branson famously says, he's a founder of Virgin Group, he said, opportunities are like bus stops. If you miss a bus, there will always be another one that comes along. You have to stay prepared. And you do this by focusing on what can you do today to develop and grow as a person. So I hope you guys enjoyed this YouTube video. If you enjoyed it, make sure to like, subscribe, and comment below what you're working on for 2025. Other than that, hope to see you guys again soon. Thanks, guys.